Hello, everyone. Friday night, and all of the other Up the Poshcast hosts have absolutely bailed on me. Charlie's gone to watch Leeds Forest. He was the one that was meant to be here. John's on a stag do. Lods is at work. Max is in Dublin, and Harry's on the other side of the world in Canada. But like all good podcasts, I have, of course, got a backup plan, and I'm going to bring him in now so that we can have a little quick chat. Good evening, Mark. Thank you for joining me again.
My pleasure, Ash. Good to see you.
I am very happy. I'm excited to see where this goes tonight. What I am going to do before we discuss anything any further, we've got a new chatter, and that is Mr. Ranky Panky. Now, good evening to Mr. Ranky Panky. He is incredibly athlete. I would love to know what a Rankies is. Am I going to get cancelled for that?
No,
I genuinely do not know. Like, I feel like this is a safe zone. I genuinely have no clue what a Ranky is. So if I'm in deep trouble, then who cares? Mark, did you watch last weekend?
Sadly not. I was I've been away. I was in Cairo, and I landed at the hotel. I landed at the airport, got to the hotel, and it was on. I couldn't watch it, unfortunately. So my wife was giving me actually I had a call with her, and she was waiting to let me watch it on the telly through Posh Plus that she had on in the home. So I did see the end of it. It was disappointing. There you go. It's a shame that we didn't kind of start the way we finished. And you could see why Williams would have wanted to make changes, because we played Stevenage, and Garbett and Jimmy J didn't have their best days. So you can see the changes. I wouldn't have taken both out, but I can see why taking one out. Frustrating that we came so close and then just lost it at the end. But I think we've got to be honest and say that's where we are at the moment. We're not quite good enough to go in the playoffs. And kind of mid-table is where we're going to be. So we're going to have days like that. But hopefully we can bounce back tomorrow against Wigan.
Yeah, I hope so. And I'm very confused right now because our guest tonight is Luke Partridge, and he's asking for a shout-out. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on.
Everywhere, didn't
he? A kid on a phone somewhere. But Luke, look, you're sat in the lobby at the moment. You can have your shout-out if you like. Here it is, and we'll look forward to chatting to you later. With that all said and done, let's bring in Barry. Now, Barry was on the last time that we were previewing Wigan versus Posh, and that was a long time ago. That was in August, wasn't it? 2-0 to Wigan, Barry. How's things been for Wigan since then?
Oh, they've been brilliant. I was just looking at some stats before I've joined you this evening. Since we played Doncaster in September, back at the old Brick Community Stadium, played 9 league matches and scored 3 goals. And they were in 3 separate games. So that's it. And that's been the season so far. We've got a proper duck egg as a manager in Ryan Law, came in promising the earth and delivered absolutely zero. Awful, awful, awful manager. And the sooner he's out the club, the better. And not just for the playing side of things, but everything, the one thing he has done, I'll be honest with you, the one thing he has done is united the fan base. 100% want him out.
Yeah, do you know what? I was looking and trying to fill myself with confidence ahead of tomorrow. Wigan haven't won a game in the league in 2026, have they? How's that been? Is it obviously there's a loss to Bolton in there as well, isn't there? So I assume that never goes down too well, does it? With the Ticks.
No, well, we haven't lost against Bolton in 10 seasons, and Ryan Law lost the first game in 10 years in April last season, back end of last season. And it was, in fairness, it was a scrappy game, and they scored in the 93rd and 94th minute. And to be honest, I was glad, really, because it was a bit of a monkey off our backs, if you know what I mean. It was like we had this hoodoo. It was going to end sometime, and I'm glad it ended 1-0 and we didn't get a pasting. But I shouldn't have held my breath, because we went to their place in September with Ryan Law in charge. First week of October it was. Ryan Law in charge, and we got absolutely mullered by a club that's just like 5 miles away from our club, and... yeah, there's a lot of animosity between the two places, and it was a tough one to take. And then we just got beaten by them again a couple of weeks back. As far as this year goes, 2 points from 18 across January. We've not beaten a club above 16th. We know we beat you, but when we beat you, you was in the bottom 4. Now, this is the story of our season. This is what it's been like. We seem to do okay against the teams down in the bottom. Teams who are struggling, I'll say. Anybody who's got anything about them, and we can't lay a glove on them. We played Doncaster a couple of weeks ago. I went to that one away at whatever it's called these days. It's not Bellevue anymore, is it? That went in the 90s. But I went down there and we were 3-0 down after 50 minutes. And I'm not exaggerating. We should have been 6 down. Honestly, Sam Tittle, great goalkeeper. How he's still with our club, I have no idea. But he kept us in the game. And then we ended up coming back. We had and it was nothing to do with the manager. He was sat on the touchline scratching his backside, didn't have a clue what to do. And one of the players went around kicking butts and got everybody fired up. And we had a 20-minute spell where we just kept lobbing the ball in the box, and we got on the end of 3 of them and managed to get to 3 apiece. And then in the dying embers of the game, they had a great chance. Doncaster and Tittle pulled out a worldie of a save and got us a point. Otherwise, we'd have just had 1 point. And that point was gained against Barnsley on New Year's Day when everybody was still very much hungover, I think, from the night before. And it showed in that game. It's awful, to be honest with you, awful. And, you know, I was trying to think we could end up at a division below you this season. And that's only ever happened once in the last 30 years. Do you know when that was? I know you do, because you messaged me before with it.
That must have been what we were talking about beforehand when you won the league and Posh were in the championship. So is that the only time in the last 30 years?
Yeah, that you've been in. Yeah, that you've been out.
That is.
Yeah. So I mean, I hope it doesn't come about for this season, but we're scraping the barrel, to be honest with you. We've brought in some good players. I mean, I don't know if you wanted me to talk about any of those. One in particular, well, 2 in particular that you might be a little bit fearful of. Joe Taylor, former player of yours, once he come through the youth ranks, I think, at Peterborough. I know he's shaking your head, but I think he did.
We signed him. Was it Kings Lynn or somewhere that we signed him from? Some like minnow, and somehow we managed to turn over 500k. He fell into a really difficult patch, and I'm not going to say that he's a bad footballer, but he wasn't given a chance, and actually he probably should have been when Ricky J. Jones was underperforming at the club. But I also don't want to say anything that's out of turn, but there was rumours that maybe his attitude wasn't right. But he's gone on. Did he do well at Luton? That feels like maybe it wasn't quite true. He did well at Colchester when he went on loan there. He did relatively well at Lincoln, didn't he? And then all of a sudden, he's now earned himself a £3 million move to Huddersfield, but then has barely played there because they've got 4 strikers ahead of him, haven't they? So, look, I hope he doesn't do well tomorrow, but I'm sure that he'll be a good player for you because he's shown that probably League One is his level, I would suggest.
Yeah, he's got 7 goals for Huddersfield. He scored for us as well, so he's off the mark. But the other guy we brought in, Caelan Vickers, we got him from Brighton. We were supposed to be signing him on a permanent deal, but he's coming on loan. He was at Barnsley earlier this season, and the 1-0 victory down at London Road, that was a goal by Caelan Vickers. So you know all about him.
Yeah, so I was listening to your podcast that you did with Harry earlier. Caelan Vickers is the guy that turned into a little bit of a meme, is that right? When you signed him, because he just looked absolutely miserable in all of the pictures that they took. Is that right? Yeah. But like you say, he's clearly a good player, isn't he? And yeah, you mentioned that he's already got a goal against Posh this season in a 1-0 win. So maybe there'll be more of the same tomorrow.
Oh, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping we can find somebody who can turn a bit of form, to be honest. We're playing spits and spats throughout games. We're probably good for 10 minutes out of the 90, and we've got to improve on that. But it's the tactics and the formation that Law's play, and it's our Achilles heel. It's doing us week after week. So I saw Luke Williams' preview and thoughts on Wigan Athletic, and he said he doesn't think we'll be in the relegation battle. Well, I don't either. I think we'll already be relegated by the end of the season. So I know where he's coming from there. But and he said it's been a pleasure to watch them, and I bet it has, because we're awful. Any decent coach can look at us and know how to get behind us and score a goal. Lincoln came last weekend. First half, they had a couple of chances. They took one of them, and then they did the typical Lincoln thing. They sat back, let us have the ball, and we couldn't get near them. And yeah, it was so easy. I don't think they got out of second gear. And this is us playing at home. We had Joe Wungbo came on at half-time as a sub. He usually plays wing-back Joe, but he's never a wing-back. He's an out-and-out winger. And he was the only guy who was getting any sort of joy. But all it was is knocking the ball in front of him and running after it. You know, there was no interplay between the players. There was no, I don't know. It looks this season like we've not been coached in possession. Out of possession, we're good. We know our places. We drop. We don't get turned over too much by opposition. We're quite good defensively. But as soon as we get the ball, we don't know what to do with it.
You said about you play in small spells of 10 minutes. What do you think you need to do on Saturday to actually get a point or three?
Well, it's Friday now, so it's too late to get the manager out the door because that really would help. So I think we've set up different than what we are. We're playing with wing backs and we don't have any wing backs, so we've got 3 centre backs and wingers, and we're very, very weak down the lines. But the wing backs are that knackered through chasing back defensively, they can't operate offensively. So the good players, we brought Fraser Murray in summer from Scotland, played at Kilmarnock. He had 4 goals in his first 6 games. I think did he score against yourselves, or he definitely assisted both goals. He assisted, but yeah, one was a corner, one was a cross in the box. But he's been coached out of that. He's been coached. It's been taken away from him. He's not creating anything. He's been in and out of the team since New Year, so he's struggling a little bit. So we've just signed Jack Hunt. I have to pronounce that correctly, don't I? We'll be getting banned. We just signed him from Stockport. Well, I said we signed him from Stockport. He was released by Stockport. He's played 10 games this season for him. He's a right back. He's 35 years of age, so he's one for the future. And he's coming on a short-term contract. Now, we've had players very similar to this before. We had somebody in last year called Paul Dummett. We got him from Newcastle. He was good for 10 minutes, and then that were it. His season was over. He was rubbish. And before him, we've had who else have we had in? We've had Stephen Warnock worked out quite well for us. He came in at 35, but Stephen Warnock's a class player. I don't know too much about Jack Hunt. See, I nearly said it then, didn't I? I read that he can play centre half, but he's 5'9", and we've got 3 centre backs. So I don't know. Hopefully, we're gonna play 4 at the back with Jack Hunt, and on the left hand side, Morgan Fox, who's a left-sided centre back, probably playing left back to counter your wingers. Because one thing Peterborough always have for me is exciting wingers who are full of pace, good on the ball, and just get at you. And if we play with the wing backs, you'll just have so much fun tomorrow. So it's got to be 4 at the back, as far as I'm concerned.
Barry, I can tell you about Jack Hunt, and this may or may not be true, but I'm pretty sure that he scored the winning penalty against Posh at Hillsborough in that playoff semi-final to send them to Wembley. But any time after that, he's been absolutely shocking. If you head onto my Twitter page, AW7794, and watch my pinned tweet, it's a clip of Ricky J. Jones literally making him sprawl all over the floor. Personal highlight of mine. He obviously went to Bristol Rovers last year. I think he's trying to put himself as this like League One fixer, isn't he? Like, I'll save you from relegation. Well, unfortunately, Barry, he got Bristol Rovers relegated last year. Now he's joined you. Well, fingers crossed that Wigan don't go down, because I like Wigan as a way there. They do good scran in the ground, don't they? So fingers crossed that doesn't happen. But I don't rate him. If he's playing at right back and he's got Cairo Lisby running at him for even 30 minutes tomorrow, I think he's going to have a tough time of it. I noticed when you put your tweet out to promote your episode, somebody in the reply said, well, Peter will play with wingers, so it looks like we'll be playing wing backs. Does that really concern you if you were to go for the back 3/5? It's going to be a back 5, isn't it? I always argue this, is that when you're down the bottom, it's a back 5. When you're near the top, it's a back 3, isn't it? Are you concerned if you do play a back five tomorrow? I know that you said that you really want to go with a 4, but it looks like defending might be the potential option.
Oh, yeah, don't get me into formation and tactics. We don't play with a 5. We play with a 6 or sometimes a 7 because the 2 midfielders drop in there as well. Because our wing backs, wingers, they don't know how to defend. Nothing against them. They're great players, and I love seeing them get on the ball. We have another guy called Rafael Rodriguez, we got on loan from Coventry. He's a winger, but we have him playing. He's only 19 as well, so he's no football experience. So when teams attack us, they just get around the back of our defenders, our wing backs, as whatever you want to term them, and then they're getting into the box, and our midfield seems to disappear as well, obviously, because they're dropping into the back line. And then our forwards are up the pitch. So if we ever get possession, they're too far away. So we lob it upfield. I mean, look at our passing accuracy. I think against Lincoln, because they didn't want the ball, they let us have it. Our passing accuracy for the first time was like 68%. No, it's usually, I think against Cardiff earlier this season, we'd made something like 200 passes with a 48% passing accuracy. So like half the passes that we've made have gone astray. And this is what's happening because it's like panic mode at the back all the time. So as the game rolls on, we tend to become quite loose and we'll end up lobbing the ball into touch, lobbing it aimlessly upfield, never working it through the midfield, which... You know, I'm a bit of a purist where football's concerned. I like it on the deck, and I like that your defensive midfielder being really good on the ball and being a bit of a quarterback and picking the passes out like a 40-yarder or a 2-yarder. But even them 2-yarders can split teams apart. And we have a player of that caliber in Matt Smith. You'll remember Matt Smith. I think he got sent off at your place a couple of years back, tripping somebody up. But he's a proper football player, and the fans love him. But he's not being played in his correct position, and we're feeling for him, you know, because he's. And this is another thing I think with Ryan Lowe. He loves putting square pegs in round holes, and you know what happens there? They just don't fit. And we're all over the place. I've suggested a one apiece tomorrow. That's more out of blind optimism than anything else. I mean, if we play like we did at Doncaster, I think you'll go 2 or 3 up and close the game off. See, Doncaster they don't know how to finish the game. So, you know, the goalkeeper goes down, or they waste time. There was none of that going on. They were still going at it. So they left us with a bit of space. But I think having a good coach in Luke Williams, which I think he is, I think he'll have you, trained in them sort of, not say dark arts, but, how to kill a game off. And I think if you get a goal or 2 up, that's the end of it for us.
Barry, you're filling me full of optimism, but for Wigan fans, are there any shining light? You mentioned Matt Smith there playing that position. You mentioned the keeper Sam earlier. If you are to get something out of it, who's really going to be your standout player?
Oh, Sam Tittle, without doubt. As you're attacking us, he's going to be pulling the balls. The one glimmer of hope I have about tomorrow's game is when Ryan Lowe needs a result to keep his job, he gets one. Seriously, we went to Preston, his former club in the FA Cup, Championship club. We won 1-0. I mean, we took 3,500 to that in just going for a night out. We played Wimbledon away. We were losing 1-0 with 10 minutes to go. There was massive talk about Lowe getting finished. He threw an 18-year-old academy kid on as we got a free kick on the edge of the box, Harrison Bertone. Harrison Bertone went up, his first touch in EFL football, takes the free kick, puts it in the back of the net. 5 minutes later, he scores the winner. I mean, these are the sort of results that he does. Burton at home. The only team we've done the double on this year is Burton Albion. We beat them home and away. And again, Bertone saved his neck there. He's got the first goal away at Burton. So... it's just so frustrating. I'm just so frustrated because I know these lads played correctly would make a good team. There's a good side in there. Not saying, playoff chasing, but definitely top end of mid-table. Definitely that. I think when we played you earlier in the season, I've spoken to Harry about it, and he said he was quite impressed with how we played that day. But we've played, well, probably 3 times this season. That's it. And it's just so frustrating. I'm a bit worried about tomorrow. So, yeah, Sam Tittle. Sorry, getting back to your point. Sam Tittle, definitely Sam Tittle. We've got James Carragher, who's made our captain, Jamie Carragher's son. I know he's a good lad, but he's suffering a bit now. You can see the confidence going out of him. Callum Wright in midfield is another. We got him on loan from Plymouth. Very energetic, up and down. Very energetic, good lad. And I've been impressed with Joe Taylor as well. I know about his attitude problem because I've seen him when he was at Lincoln. He had a bit of a strop when we played them at Sinsel Bank, but he's fiery, he's bubbly, he's aggressive on the pitch. He's got that burst in him. So, but you'll know all about that. And we've got.
Sorry, just quickly.
Sorry. Shut me up.
No. Just on, it was on Jamie Carragher's son. I thought that he was injured. Like, was he not meant to be out for like the season? Like quite a bad injury, or am I making that up?
No, that occurred. I think the second game of the season at Orient, he got injured down there, and he had an operation. He tore his thigh muscle. So, but he healed really. He did a Donald Trump. You know, he's the best healer in the world. You know, Donald Trump's here, Jamie Carragher's thigh. You know, same sort of thing. They can heal really quick. So he was out for about 6 weeks, and then when he came back, we lost our skipper Jason Kerr, who's a centre back. So I think he was rushed back a little bit. He's a good player. He's another one for the future.
Well, he's 23, so he needs to get a wriggle on. Do you think a defeat for you tomorrow does see the end of the manager? You said you've got Reading in the week as well.
Yeah. Well, he would have gone a few months ago for me. So we're just hoping what's going to be the catalyst to get rid of him. I mean, this week we've got yourselves on Saturday. We've got Reading Tuesday, like you said. We've got Arsenal in the Cup away on the Sunday. But more importantly than any of those, we've got a fans forum on Wednesday evening, and that's with the chair of the CEO, one of the owners, and maybe or maybe not if we have got rid of him, Ryan Lowe. The tickets for this went within, I don't know, probably an hour. People want to go down and express the feelings, so that'll be a good evening. So I think one thing they'll find out is well, they know anyway. I know. I'll do a lot of work with the club, and they know the feeling. So yeah, you could do us a favour and get rid of him. Give us a bit of a resounding beating.
My prediction's looking a bit silly at the moment. I'll get to that later on. Barry, one man that I do want to ask you about before I probably knock you down a further peg or two is Christian Sadie. Now, obviously, he had a good time, didn't he, versus Posh in August. Are we going to see him tomorrow? Is he going to bully our defence again, do you think?
I don't think so. I think he'll be on the bench at best. I feel really sorry for him. He's suffered from Ryan Lowe's tactics. He got sent off at Lincoln. We played. That was probably the best game we played Lincoln away this season, a 2 apiece, and we should have won that. But he got sent off about 65 minutes. It wasn't a stamp. He'd gone for the ball, but he caught some of his shin, and he's sort of never recovered from that. He's come back and he's not looked the same player. And he's been getting frustrated with the way that we're playing. But the fans love him. He started the season off in really good form. He was what we've been crying out for, a striker that can hold the ball up, playing other players. He scored a couple of goals early doors as well. He's not scored since, but we thought, we've got ourselves a good player here. But he's just faded into nothing, like the season's faded into nothingness.
Well, I am going to now hit you with my research. So I've gone back and I've looked at the team that started at Wigan. For Posh, this is. We had Reyes in goal, not at the club anymore, won't be playing. Harley Mills, hooked after 45 minutes, won't be playing tomorrow. Oscar Wallin, no longer at the club. David Okagbue probably won't be starting tomorrow. Carl Johnston, he put in a good shift. He will play tomorrow. Brandon Keller and Archie Collins will both probably play. Abraham Oddo, exiled to the under-21s. He put in a terrible performance. Donny O'Brien Brady played 56 minutes, probably won't start tomorrow. Kean Hayes, not sure whether he's going to start tomorrow. And then Bradley Yahombian. So there's going to be at least 6 changes, and all 6 of those changes are strengthening. If I say Alex Bass, Tom Lees, I'm sure that you're familiar with him because he's up that way, isn't he? Spent his career up that way. We've got Matt Garbett, international Matt Garbett, Harry Leonard, all of those sorts of players. So I feel a lot more confident than my prediction is going to say. So is there anyone that you're massively concerned by other than maybe, let's say, Lisby and any other potential wingers?
Well, I do like Archie Collins. I like him. He's a good player. And something that does, I mean, if I weren't so despondent about Ryan Law, something that does give me a glimmer of hope. You've 12 games, 4 defeats, but then 4 of them defeats have come in the last 6, or those 4 defeats have come in the last 6 games. So it suggests there may be a little bit of the wheels coming off. And your own form isn't the best, in League One. I've noticed that. I think have you had 7 defeats at home or 5 defeats? I think it was 7 defeats. So
I think it's 7 and 15, but before the last 2, it was 5 and 13. I'm sure that's what Harry said when he was speaking to you.
Yeah. But 5 and 13 is still a lot. And when I'm looking at it, as an away side coming.
It's not when we were bottom of the table when Fergie got sacked against Blackpool. Bloody hell!
Take anything.
I think all.
Yeah. So. I mean, that'd be a glimmer of hope, though, for me. But I do like Lisby. I mean, he said not Lisby, but I think he's going to tour as a new one tomorrow. Fingers crossed he doesn't. Speaking as a true Wigan Athletic supporter, I do hope we come and win. But we've said so many times amongst ourselves, all the fans, like, do we take a couple on the chin just to get him out the club? That is, I don't know. It's hard to say, and it's hard to want your team to lose. The best opportunity we had was at Doncaster, 3-0 down, and we were all praying it were going to end up 6 or 7 because I think that would have been finished. But we came back, so I've got to blame Callum Wright for that because he was the player who went around kicking everybody's backsides and getting them all G'd up. We've also brought in Owen Moxon as well, which he scored in that game, and he's looked quite good. He looks a bit rusty. You can tell he's not had a lot of football. But he's brought a little bit of something different to the midfield, which we've been lacking, a little bit of steel. So I'm liking Moxon. In fact, I goes first to say that he'd be a player that we've got him on loan, and I'd try and make it permanent if I could, And he's a player that we've chased. We chased when he was at Carlisle before he went to Portsmouth. So it's somebody we've been looking at previously. But yeah, so Moxon in midfield alongside Smith tomorrow hopefully can do a bit of damage. But I'm not banking on it.
Are you heading down to wet Peterborough, Barry, to join us tomorrow?
No, I'm not, because I've got a lot of travelling, unfortunately. Got a lot. The last time I went was, you might remember this, we went 2-0 up and you brought it back to 2 apiece with about a minute to go. It was an evening game, and we straight from the kickoff, Max Power ran up the pitch and stuck it in, and we beat you 3-2. It was a great night, and we went on to win the league that season as well. So we was above you in the following season. So we do tend to be above Peterborough. But no, I did. I went into a pub just near the ground. It was like something out of Green Street, proper rough and but very accommodating. I don't know. There was a KFC, and then there was this rough pub at the side of it.
The Peacock.
Do you know which one I mean?
Yeah. It would be the Peacock. Yeah.
I was going to order some food, but I went to the toilet for a wee, and when I was in the toilet, I thought, I'm getting nothing to eat from here. So we finished our beers and moved on. Yeah, but it was all right. It was friendly enough.
That 3-2 sounds like last weekend for Posh. We got it back to Tour, and then we lost one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Barry, we are going to wrap up there with you now. Thank you. You predicted a 1-1, right? Am I right in saying that?
You are correct. Yes.
Who's gonna be your first goal scorer tomorrow, please?
Well, it's going to be It's got to be Joe Taylor, really, hasn't it? So I think he'll bang one in. But if I'm being perfectly honest, I think he'll do us 2-0. But I always try and be a little bit optimistic. So yeah, Hart one apiece, but Ed 2-0 at least.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Barry, for
Thanks, Barry.
filling what hopefully every Posh fan that's watching tonight or is listening tomorrow morning or watching tomorrow morning with a lot of confidence, because you've made me feel a lot better about how tomorrow may potentially go. But thank you, Barry, for joining us. Do you want to shout out your guys' pod as well?
Yes, Progress with Unity podcast. We'll do a full reaction to Saturday's game on Sunday, and we're out twice a week. And you know what happens when visiting fans say that they're going to lose. You know, the inevitable happens when we do win. So I apologise for that.
Thank you very much, Barry. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Liked Barry.
Full of energy and full of balanced positivity and negativity. But let's not keep our Posh fan waiting.
Sorry. Yes.
He said that he couldn't hear us. Luke, can you hear us now?
I can hear you, mate. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. Quality. I hate technical difficulties, which is the worst thing. I think I've had a whole episode where somebody just couldn't hear me, but here we are now. Luke, you were at the game last week, weren't you? Because we spoke briefly, didn't we, before the game kicked off? Do you want to tell us how that was for you? Obviously, last minute loss.
Do you know what, I kind of expected it. Got back to 2-2, and it's Posh-like, isn't it? They go down around and score. So I wasn't surprised. Just hope it doesn't happen again.
Well, let's all be hopefully. What do you think of the season so far, though, Luke?
Do you know what? When I listened to Ash a minute ago, and he was saying all the Posh starting lineup against Wigan at the start of the season, that team would have got relegated. Tell you that now. And I think if we kept Fergie in charge, I think we would have got relegated. Because I think Fergie's the type of manager that he's better off with a team at the top end of the table. He's not like that kind of manager that's in a bit of a dogfight. So showing positives now. We won't get promoted. And we're not going to get relegated. We just sit in mid-table, and I think that's where we're going to finish.
We'd have taken mid-table at the start of after the first 8 games or something, wouldn't we?
I would have taken mid-table even before the start of the season. With that squad, with the likes of Odo, O'Brien, Brady, Oscar Wallen, who else did we have? Ehoven?
Yeah,
any of them, they're not even League One standard. I think I would say they struggle getting to League Two sides. But well, we'll see. But I mean, that Barry we just listened to, he's made me less positive now than I was before. Because it's so Posh-like that we'll go and lose tomorrow. And I guarantee you, right, if Nevett starts, that Taylor will score against us. Like, Nevett hasn't got any pace whatsoever.
Luke, stop bringing the negative energy. We're going to win tomorrow, right? Save the negative energy from me. You don't want to come on here and you don't want to take pelters for being negative. Fill me with positivity about how it's changed since under Luke Williams. I totally agree with you. That team that we played against Wigan was absolute nightmare fuel, wasn't it? But since was it? Wimbledon at home was the first. No, Cardiff at home was an FA Cup game, wasn't it?
Yeah,
since then, it's been positive, hasn't it? Right. So, what have your thoughts been since Luke Williams has come in?
Positive. It's like we've gone attacking football again. It was always positive. I like having the wingers back in the side. I like seeing Cian Hayes back and Lisby on the other side. As long as Odo don't get near the team, I'm happy. So I'm hoping Garbett's going to play as a number 10 tomorrow.
I was about to ask you that. What do you think we're going to do?
I hope we have Garbett as number 10. I hope Hayes and Lisby on the wings. I would say Kelleher and Collins, centre mids. And obviously we'll have Leonard up front. I'm hoping that we have Okagbue. I think you said he's probably not good enough to start yet.
I was watching Luke Williams' pre-match interview, and he basically said that they don't, although he's on the grass and he's training, he doesn't want to bring him back too soon in case it has a knock-on effect, because they'd rather save him for another game or put him on the bench and then him be available for the rest of the season, rather than starting him and then potentially it flares up the injury again, and then he's gone for another 6 weeks or so. So that's my only thought, is that I think that we'll see Nevett and Tom Lees tomorrow. Yeah, Lees.
Well, I missed last week because I was away, but was it a case, do you think they were still hangover from their illness? And hopefully another week they're back to normal, although we haven't seen much of Nevett since his injury early in the season?
I'm not sure.
I think he's there. I can't see him.
I do think that they were still. I'm pretty sure that Dara said on his podcast that they didn't train until Friday, and even when they were training, they still weren't they were at 70%. And obviously, if they've then taken that into realistically against a team like Huddersfield, you can't be at 70%. They've done us a massive favour, haven't they? But I think that Nevett was poor the first half, wasn't he, Luke? I'm sure that you can agree with that. I think he redeemed himself in the second half, but then obviously Tom Lees is at fault for the goal. He should have kicked the ball into Rose Ed, and that pretty much sums it up. Luke, if I ask you, ignoring tomorrow because it may be a banana skin, what do you want to see for the rest of the season from Peterborough United?
I wouldn't mind playing some youth players, actually. Mendonca looked quite good. I would start Mendonca tomorrow if Okagbue not playing. Who's that number 10? They brought off the bench against Wickham.
Patrick.
Patrick Seifert.
I'll be sort of bringing him to the team a bit more. Bolu. Is it Pemi?
Pemi's on the bench.
I'll start integrating him a bit more, because, like I say, I don't think we're not going to get promoted. We're not going to get relegated. So I'll start integrating youth players. Dara Keate's going on about how they've got big futures. So we'll start integrating them now. Start, getting ready for next season.
Just so, and on squad size, we've had the window shut, and although yes, we have one in the sense of Mendy turned permanent, but was a real lack of activity. You can see some of the sense in that. But what's your thoughts on what we did or didn't do in the transfer window, Luke?
I think I listened to this podcast before, and they said it's kind of resigning the fact that we're not going to get promoted, which I would agree with. So I hope we should have got a striker and a winger, and I know Dara says it's kind of important that we get rid of quite a lot of players because we've got a massive squad. But yeah, we needed a striker, because Leonard gets injured now. I think we're really going to struggle, aren't we?
That worries me.
Yeah, that really worries me as well.
Luke, I'm going to bring up a comment, because you're talking. I assume it's a son or a child of yours that is currently logged into your YouTube account. I don't know if you could hear us earlier, but they were talking, and I was like, "Oh, this Luke wanted a shout out. It's you, obviously." So whoever it is, your son or your daughter, clearly agrees with you. So that's always good.
I can't read the comments. What does it say?
It literally says, "I agree with Luke so much." But it's,
I'll probably
it's
say
your name.
that's probably my daughter. Yeah, she's listening.
Yes, it is. Yes, she's just shouting this out, Grace. So
yeah,
Grace, I hope you're having a great evening, and sorry for keeping your dad all this time whilst he's been with us.
He's been waiting for this all day.
Fantastic. If I think about, I don't want to write this season off, because I think there's still lots of learning to do, and I'm sure that Luke Williams will feel the same. What do you want to see from Peterborough United next season? Do you think that we've got all of the tools to be a top 2 team next season?
The starting 11, yes. Squad-wise, probably not at the moment. I think we're going to have to invest in the squad a bit more. If these youth players are as good as Dara says they are, then maybe. But I haven't seen enough of them to comment on that at the moment. We'll obviously see what the transfer window brings. Hopefully he spends big in the summer. Or he do have to spend wisely on the right players, in the right positions. Get us another striker. Do you want an unpopular opinion? I always thought Lindgren would be good as number 10. No one ever mentioned it.
Yeah, that's a honking opinion, Luke. I can't.
Don't you think so?
No, I think no. The amount of times that he came onto the pitch and was playing in that position, if anything, the only way that Lindgren was made good was when Leonard dropped slightly further back, or they were playing as two alongside each other. I think back to Port Vale, he put in a good shift. He came on against Reading when we were chasing a goal. I think that for Lindgren, they were the only two occasions that I was really sort of convinced. Certainly in recent times, obviously he got 2 goals against Walsall way back. It was probably this time last year, wasn't it? But I'm not convinced. I think that we could do better than Gustav Lindgren, and I hope that he comes good for whichever Swedish club that he is. But I don't think he was ever going to cut it in the English leagues.
Would you bring in a striker then for a Leonard understudy or someone to compete with him?
Do you know what? I think my issue is that we were never going to sign anyone that was a starting number 9 because we've paid 800 grand, £1 million for Harry Leonard. So you're not going to bring in a starting number 9 to sit on the bench because of the wages and all of that sort of stuff. So if I do genuinely think that we won't bring in a striker, because I think that there's a chance that we see Lisby start to play as a striker, because the kid knows where the back of the net is, right? He's scoring goals. He's always in the right place at the right time. And as we've said time and time again, you cannot teach that. Like, you're either there or you're not. And teaching that is not something that happens all that often. So I think if there's a chance that we bring in his brother, obviously that was a potential one that we maybe were going to see at the end of the window, but didn't happen. What is the chances of Kyrese Lisby coming in, being a winger, and his brother then moving to be a striker? I think that there's more chance in that, personally.
I don't know much about Kyrese Lisby. Is he a winger? Is he?
I think so. Yeah. He's at Colchester now. I think he's got like 10 goals in 36 games potentially. That may or may not be true, but he was potentially going to be purchased by Reading, and then there was allegedly we were sniffing around right at the last minute. D-Max said that there was no chance that he was going anywhere in this window, so let's just assume that he's going to work on it for the next 5 months. I'm pretty sure that Lisby was the first signing of our window last summer.
I think
so
very early on.
Cool. Yeah, maybe it would be quite cool if we could make Kyrese Lisby the first signing of this summer's transfer window.
I wouldn't be against it, but I think Colchester want a lot of money for him, wouldn't they? I would say we'll probably get someone from non-league, probably another little gem maybe. Darren likes his non-league signings, don't he? So probably someone who's ripping it up in the non-league at the moment.
And hasn't Darren talked about that he's got? Is it two players that he's talking about that are done for the summer or potentially done for the summer? Ash?
Possibly. I think he mentioned that maybe there was one that he was going to try and get done in advance, but the club basically wouldn't let him go. So it's going to be something that nothing's done until it is done. But let's hope that we can do early, because I do genuinely believe that Luke Williams, when given the time on the training pitch, will be able to get this squad absolutely firing. And I know that we're now going to go Saturday, Saturday, all the way through to the end of Feb, I think it is. I think we've pretty much got 7 games this month, haven't we? So that's going to be difficult. But yeah, who knows where this season can go. Luke, thinking ahead to tomorrow, and I should shout out your son Josh. He wants a shout out. He's just asked for it in the comments. So
he did ask me for a shout. Yeah,
he is going to the game tomorrow, you said?
He's going to, mate. Yeah, he's going to it. I'm not, but he is.
Thinking ahead to tomorrow, do you want to give us a prediction and a first goal scorer if you think that Peterborough United are going to score?
I think we'll make hard work of it, but I think we will win. I think it'll be a 2-1 Posh win, and I'm going for a Jimmy J. Morgan first goal scorer.
Positive then. Yeah, you see, you weren't feeling that positive, because if Barry was making you feel that literally like that less positive, then you'd have predicted a draw, or you had the chance to change. I do not have the chance to change because mine's locked in, ready for a graphic. Luke,
and Luke, where do you reckon we're going to finish? Where do you see us finishing?
If we go for another little good spell, I could see us finishing just outside the top 6. But I would say realistically, I think where we are now, between the playoffs and where we are now, I would say.
Feels like it.
I would see that as a positive as well. You know, since where we started the season, how downbeat everyone was, and it's a lot of positives now. So I think it'd be quite a positive season with finishing like that.
And I think we have to accept there's going to be ups and downs just because of where we are. And actually, Williams has done an amazing job since come in. So if we're there and we can see confidence for the future, and hopefully some more players, because he hasn't had a player that Williams has had a hand in signing yet. So hopefully with some of the players that Williams has a more active kind of involvement in getting into the building, you'd feel it next season. I think there's a lot to build on from this season.
Yeah, from what I heard about Williams before he started, he kind of liked his wingers, don't he? Obviously, he hasn't had the chance to sign one yet. I think Kean Hayes would be a good shout next season. He will rip the league apart if he stays fit. So I've said a lot of positives for next season. Once we build on it, build a better squad, not just to start 11. Keep Garbett. I would say, yeah, we'll definitely be pushing towards the top end of the table next season.
Keep Morgan. See if we can get another year alone for Morgan.
I would try, but surely some championship clubs would be sniffing around now, wouldn't they?
Let's see.
maybe.
But as you say, yeah, Williams definitely likes his wingers, and Lisby's absolutely bang on. But the other side, I think, is up for grabs, like Hayes, but not seen enough of him. Frith, the jury's still well out on. So, give Williams a couple more really good wingers, and as you say, Lisby could play through the middle.
Yeah, I'll be quite happy with Lisby through the middle if he can finish. Frith, I'm undecided on. Kean Hayes, I keep. Get rid of Otto. I would never want to see him in a Posh shirt ever again. My son, by the way, Josh, my son absolutely loves him. I have no idea why. I think he's just playing devil's advocate. But no more Odo. I would also loan out O'Brien Brady as well. I think we're kind of stacked in midfield when everyone's fit, shall we say. And I would try and loan O'Brien Brady out next season to like a League 2 club and see how he gets on.
I'm not sure with Donny. I think that both Fergie and Luke Williams clearly see something. I just don't think that he's a starting midfielder, and I do think that last week showed that. Whenever he's come on in games under Luke Williams, he's always had what I would call a positive impact, or certainly not had a negative impact on the games. But I think that it's either he's got to progress over the summer or he gets sold. I don't think a loan's going to really do anything because he's of that age now where I don't really think he's going to benefit from a loan. A loan is going to be because we don't want him to be at the club, like taking up wage space potentially.
How old is he? Is he in his early 20s now?
22, 23, potentially, yeah.
Oh, maybe he's a bit too old now for a loan then. But I mean, when you saw him starting against Huddersfield last weekend, did you not fear the worst? Because I did. As soon as I saw that starting lineup, I feared the worst because I saw he was starting. I don't think that negatively. I was quite prepared for changes last week because look, Garbett and Jimmy J Morgan will both accept that at Wycombe and Stevenage they were both crap, and they probably didn't deserve to. You can't just keep starting players because they are your big names and you're paying them big money, right? At some point, they've got to be droppable. We've seen that for too many Posh teams in the times gone by that we've kept playing. So I'd have no issue with them starting. I just think that we've always said on this podcast, the easiest position to play at Peterborough United is a substitute around the 60th minute because you're just guaranteed to make an impact on the game. So I think we'll go back to our strongest midfield and forward line tomorrow, and hopefully I always think that we need an early goal. I think if we can get an early goal, then we're laughing from there on in because teams then can't just sit back and frustrate us.
Just going back to next season as well, Luke, remember we're going to be Collins light in that centre of midfield, so we've got to spend a bit on making sure we've got a good replacement for him.
Yeah, do you know what? I think someone said in this podcast as well previously that they can see him staying. I can as well. I said, depends what happens. If he does go, I would say we're going to have to invest. Yeah, we're going to have to invest and find someone that's going to replace him. I quite like Ben Woods, but obviously I don't think he's a direct replacement, is he? Kelleher, is he a squad player? Would you start him?
I think he'd be a good player in the future. We've got him on a 5-year contract, so I've got no issues with Keller. I'm sure that he will come good. I think that he's just somebody that's learning the game and learning. Pretty sure the Bradford loan last year was his first men's football loan, and he only played 20 games or so. So he's still learning, and I think that he'll be one that flourishes in their second season. I'm sure.
To be fair,
and Williams did a lot of work, didn't they, behind the scenes with Keller before he came back in?
Yeah. I was saying, to be fair, at the start of the season, he was my shout for player of the season, Kelleher. So we'll see. Maybe next season instead then.
I think a lot of the boys on the pod went for Keller as player of the season, didn't they, as well, Ash, in your pre-season predictions?
God, I can't remember what happened last weekend, Mark, let alone what we did in July. I was on holiday when we recorded our pre-season. I was sat in the food and beverage manager's office in Turkey recording that. So you got no chance of me being able to. There was
definitely some shouts. As Keller had two games of pre-season.
Yeah. He looked shit hot. No arguments there, but I don't want to bash the guy, but when you look at it, the teams that we played in pre-season were crap, weren't they? Yeah. So I would expect players like that to look good. Right, Luke, we're gonna wrap up there. Thank you for joining us, because I want to ramble on for a little bit. I've got some stats to put on, and I don't want to keep you waiting whilst I just listen to the sound of my own voice. But thank you for joining us.
Oh no, cheers, guys.
Tonight. Thank you very much. We'll speak to you soon.
Appreciate it. Cheers, mate. Bye.
Bye bye.
Up Posh.
Cast.
Right. I'm gonna do the predictions league. I am gonna do the predictions league, but first,
okay.
I'm gonna do some stats that who knew? Look, I've had to really pull the rabbit out of the hat today because Chaz bailed. So I'm the stat man today, right? So Posh have won. This is from the EFL stat pack. So if any of it's not true, don't come for me. I'm just reading what I can see on my screen. Peterborough United have won 3 of their last 4 home league games against Wigan, and will be looking to win successive home matches to 0 against Wigan for the first time in the Football League. Now, This is the bit that then confuses me, because it then says Wigan have won 4 of their last 5 league games against Peterborough United, netting 2+ goals in each of those victories. Confusing.
I've lost. Gone.
Yeah, tell me about it. Now, this is where the negativity starts. Posh have lost each of their last 2 home league games and will be looking to avoid losing 3 in succession at London Road for the first time since February 2022. Ooh, see, this is where the negativity comes. We then mentioned as well that Wigan haven't won a game in 2026 in the league, and all these things. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to change the banner. Mark, normally I would have an Up the Poshcast host with me who would read out their prediction, but I'm going to have to do everybody's. So the ticker is going along at the bottom. Please,
I have mine afterwards if you want it.
I do. And please enter the Next Level Barbell Club Predictions League at www.uptheposhcast.com/NLBC-predictions-league. And with all that said and done, this is how I see it going tomorrow. I think the Posh are going to lose 1-0. I think it's just going to be one of those. Yeah, I think it's just going to be one of those. And we're going to come. They're going to play that 5 at the back. They're going to nick a goal. We're not going to have an answer. It's going to be a poor atmosphere, despite everybody's best attempts. The London Road is going to be mute for 90 minutes because nobody's in there, because nobody wants to be in there anymore, and we should close the London Road end for season tickets. We should have season tickets in the GH display stand so that we can create an atmosphere. But that's just me. Let's talk positives now, because all of Charlie, Harry, John, Lods and Max have all predicted Peterborough United wins. Charlie has gone for a 2-0 Posh win with Cairo Lisby to win first. Harry has gone 2-1 with Harry Leonard to score first. John has gone 2-0, same as Charlie. Harry Leonard, first goal scorer. Lods has gone 3-0, Harry Leonard, first goal scorer. And Max has gone 4-1, Harry Leonard, first goal scorer. Riddle me this. I am the negative one this week. Yeah. Mark, talk to me. What's your prediction?
So I have replicated John. I have gone 2-0 with Harry Leonard. My problem is I'm always positive on the predictions, and so but I do think after 2 defeats, I've got faith in Williams. He's going to tweak it, and we know we need to get a win. I felt better after hearing Barry. I was thinking, yes, I'm on it. You've just knocked me down a bit, but the rest of the boys have pulled me back up. 2-0, Leonard. Leonard's been brilliant. We know that. He needs to get a goal now, I think, and I'll keep going for him anyway. I fancy it tomorrow. And actually, having listened to Barry, I think it might be more than 2. You've got to be confident. And I know you're saying that all those stats and stuff, but come on.
Yeah. Right. Do you know what I realised? You know, I said this in our group chat, which is just the 6 hosts. I said that last week we didn't even preview the game. We didn't even talk about it, me and Chaz, when we had spoken to our 2 guests. So this week I'm going to make an active effort to preview the game. And Mark, I'm going to ask you some questions.
Well, I've got a couple for you as well about the game.
Fantastic. Let's just riff for the next 10
minutes.
Let's
do it.
Alex Bass in goal. That's a banker. Tom Lees is starting.
Yeah.
When all's said and done, are you starting George Nevett? Are you starting David Okagbue? Or are you starting Luka Mendonca at centre-back with Tom Lees?
Okay. Nevett. I'd like Big Bad Dave back in, but I just think we've got a lot of games coming up. We push him in too early. And look, I was really impressed by Mendonca at Stevenage. He was fantastic. But I just think, it's a big ask to put him back in. I fancy Nevett. Nevett, I know he played in a 3 at the start of the season, but I think Nevett's a talent there. I worry sometimes, but I love seeing him starting to stroll out the back with it. And I think, having Tom Lees beside him, talking to him, helping him through the game, Nevett for me. What about you?
I am very much torn because we know that Joe Taylor is quick. Does George Nevett have the game smarts to compensate for what George Nevett lacks in pace, to be smarter than Joe Taylor on the football pitch? It's a difficult one. He's going to have to give himself 2 or 3 yards, isn't he? George Nevett is better than Joe Taylor on the ball, but like you, I don't want us to rush Dave back. I don't want a reoccurrence of this injury, because that period in December when Dave was playing, he probably could have been man of the match every single game.
He was outstanding. Yeah. And just like you said, we've got a busy period coming up. We've got to think about the rest of the season. And I really like Tom Lees, what he's done, and hopefully he'll be talking to Nevett the whole way through that. So fingers crossed, but Nevett for me.
Yeah. CJ's a banker, I think. I think there's no questions there. Next one is
just on CJ, because I think it gets overlooked a little bit. Watching him from the family stand, I just was listening. You can hear him talking to them all the time. He's steady. I was going to say, just give my words out. Solid, steady, but also I think we don't realise how much of a leader and a talker he is on the pitch, and that's so important, especially when we've got some of those young lads around him.
Yeah, no, I do agree. And I think that Phil mentioned it in the pre-match interview about how difficult it is as a right back to play left back, as a right-footed right back, of course. And I don't think he looks out of place. I do genuinely believe that we've seen better performances from CJ at left back than we have when he's been at right back. And I don't know whether that's because he maybe just knows his place. He knows his role. He knows that he's not expected. Look, he's got Cara Lisby in front of him, right? He doesn't need to do the attacking. He can trust Cara Lisby to do it. Has he felt in the games when he's played at right back that he needed to get past Matt Garbett? Maybe, potentially, and that's maybe where we've not seen the strength of him. Right side of defence. James Donnelly had 3 great games.
PJ, you have to think back. Remember, before Christmas, he wasn't even getting on the bench. Do you remember that? That was one where he wasn't even on the bench. It's amazing. Yeah. And fair play to him. Sorry, right back on. Where are you going?
Well, JD's had 3 strong games now, hasn't he? Yeah. So it's whether you bring back PK or you keep James Donnelly in there.
JD for me any day of the week. Kyoso, I don't like to knock people down, but not massively seen it this season. Again, someone who's meant to be a leader around the pack, I've not quite seen it. I think JD's done well. Crosses, you can get in, give the, but he's got a shirt, deserves to keep the shirt.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you there. I don't disagree. And Lod mentioned it on the midweek special episode that he did with a 3-word review that was absolutely not a 3-word review, is that maybe Kyoso wasn't as good as we made him out to be in that season when he was here. Yeah. And actually it just was, how good was that team that everybody looked good, even if they were having poor performances. So, yeah, I'd like to see JD. I think that we don't need 3 right backs. I'm not saying that. Look, there was a time where we were saying we should send Kyoso back, but now that we know that it's going to be another 2 or 3 weeks for Mendy, another 5 weeks for Harley Mills, and then an undisclosed or unknown length of time, similar to Tom Lees' contract, might I add. That's a good little bit, isn't it? Tom Lees was announced after we lost to Wigan, so fingers crossed he can put in a shift tomorrow. Adebisi will be back hopefully at some point, but yeah, we can't just have the 2 right backs when one of them's currently playing left back. So yeah. I think that JD to start, but
the right side of defence. We've got a lot of games coming up as well, and JD will need a break at some stage. We saw what happened last season when he was overplayed for a kid. He's not a kid, but he's learning his trade. He's going to have drop-offs. So I'd imagine at some stage in this run, PK will come in and definitely get some minutes.
Next up is Archie Collins banker. We're not discussing that, are we? I think that Brandon Keller's probably a banker as well. I don't think there's too much to discuss there, is there? I think that the toss-up is between Brandon Keller and Donny O'Brien-Brady, but I just think that Brandon Keller's the option for now until at least Ben Woods is back.
To me, that is Collins plus Keller or Woods when they're fit. To me, and Keller's done really well coming in. He's again another young lad who's going to have ups and downs, but definitely deserves a spot. O'Brien-Brady's done better than I thought this season, but he doesn't get in ahead of Keller, no way. And Collins has just been immense, through this season. He's just been so good at times. And again, Stevenage, I think he'd been poorly, hadn't he? But he still played. I mean, no one really did that well that game, but he was there, put a shift in.
Yeah, no, totally. Lisby, banker. Garbett is a banker, but you mentioned earlier that you would play Garbett in the 10, right?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, so for me, Lisby, absolute banker. I would put Garbett in. I'm a massive fan of Garbett. I just think he's great, and I think he needs a bit of that freedom. I know he's had to go in on the right, but then he drifts inside, and we get all a bit muddled up. I think put him in the 10. Look, I like Morgan as well, but if you say which one of the two, and I think some of the problems have been when we've got them both in there, as we saw at Wickham, as we saw against Huddersfield, why they were dropped. And I understand that. And I, as much as I love Garbett, completely agree with Williams for doing that. But I put Garbett in the 10. I would put Hayes on the right. I think he's done enough to show that he deserves a shout. I didn't see, obviously, Huddersfield, but he came on and did brilliantly at Wickham. So that's where I'm going, Hayes.
Do you know what? I think the only thing that we maybe haven't really spoken about is that Hayes, I don't think, was that good on the right wing last week. Hayes actually put in a good performance once him and Lisby switched, and Hayes was on the left. And it was something that AD Moles mentioned at the fan forum this week, is that he was talking about Tommy Robson because the ticket sales were donated to the Tommy Robson Statue Fund. And he sort of said that Tommy Robson was a chalk on boots winger, right? So I think that when you put Hayes on the left and you keep Lisby on the right, that's what you get. I think that when you put Lisby on the left, you still get him touching and hugging the line, but you don't then get it from Hayes when he's on the. Does that make sense? Like, am I rambling in the right direction? Is that he does tuck in, and you still sort of leave that space for your right back to fill. But I think that last week James Donnelly did a good job of filling that, where we've previously, or I've certainly had previous criticisms of him not filling up that space. Yeah. So for me, I think that when you have somebody of Jimmy J. Morgan's quality I think you have to start him, even if it means. And actually, I think that there's a chance that Jimmy J Morgan playing on the right side of Matt Garbett may be the play. We've seen it certainly in the first half of games that they will switch between the two. So I don't think that you get somebody on loan from Chelsea.
Yeah,
he's
no,
clearly a very good player.
Yeah,
he's not always going to hit that top form, but was it midweek as well that Lods mentioned that he's only had 6 shots on target and 5 of them have gone in?
Morgan.
And they've been goals. He's obviously had more than 6 shots, but when he puts the ball on target and it's within the frame of the goal, 5 times out of 6 it's led to a goal for Peterborough United. So I don't think that you can leave that out of the team.
Yeah,
certainly.
And Morgan's my wife's favourite. She'd like to have flowers from him, but that's another story. But yeah, no, I would start with Hayes, but equally I see the argument. But if Morgan's starting, Hayes come on definitely, and he will against some tired legs. And Barry was talking about how their wing backs or wingers as well, and they struggle a bit. So an hour in and get Hayes on running at them.
Yeah, and then only other ones Leonard and there's no questions. Questions there, is there? Yeah, that's a flat. Yeah, Harry Leonard starts, right.
And before you go to Ash,
go on.
I'm going to ask you. I've got another question. You went to the fans forum. How was it? Did we learn anything from Luke Williams?
Did we learn anything from Luke Williams? I don't think there was a massive amount of. A lot of the questions were like samey questions, I would say. I didn't ask a question myself because I'm hopeful that in the near future Luke Williams will come on to the pod and we'll be able to ask him the question himself. So if that's something that anybody in the comments would like to see, just start tweeting the club and just say, look, get Luke Williams on the podcast. Do us all a favour, right? If there's enough pressure, they'll have to crumble at some point and let him on. Whether that happens or not, completely different question. We're certainly in the club's bad books after our comments about certain physiotherapists, but we will park that one for another day. Fingers crossed we can make it through a Saturday without an injury.
Naughty Ash.
That being said, am I going to say what I want to say? Because well, Luke Williams basically mentioned that we had a letter from the Referees Association and there was a foul on Alex Bass in the lead up to the Stevenage goal, and we should have had a penalty on Cairo Lisby. So that's probably the most interesting thing that I took from that. I think that probably the main thing is that everything that you think of Luke Williams is exactly what you got from that fans forum. He talks well, he answers questions well, he makes you feel connected with the football club. He makes you like Dara's a salesman, right? And Dara can sell what's going to happen. And no coincidence that he came out all guns blazing on Monday when we were doing season tickets, like we're going to be great next season, because he does. But when Luke Williams says those things, I do genuinely think that there's a chance that we win the league next year. And he gives me that confidence because of the way that he talks, the way that he talks about what preparation he does, the way that he talks about the time. And that's where like those comments about like, when you go Saturday, Tuesday, you don't get the time on the pitch. Give this guy 6 weeks of pre-season on the training field, and I think that in that 6 weeks it'll be a completely different Peterborough United that we see. And it's just not had that run because when you are preparing and you're training during the season, you're always looking ahead to the next game, aren't you, or the next 2 or 3 games in your preparations
the whole time.
And it's like a knock-on effect, isn't it? That you're always looking ahead rather than actually just focusing on yourself and your team and your squad. And right, we're going to do this and like getting those repetitions in. I'm sure that they work on it in training now, but imagine a 6-week block of just pre-season where it's just we're doing this. We go into pre-season games. Doesn't matter what the opposition does because we're doing this. And, you know, I'm sure that we'll end up playing the likes of Stamford, Peterborough Sports and all of those because they're our bankers. But hopefully we can get some championship games in, get a premiership team down to London Road and test ourselves against those, because I think that's what we've missed in previous pre-seasons is big games, difficult games, like and games in front of the fans as well, to get fans excited for the season. Like one of the key things that Luke Williams said, and I'm sure it was when I was in the sponsors lounge, is that he wants people to be excited to come and watch Peterborough United next season. Now, he has Doncaster to do that. That will be our final game of this season. And he wants everybody to leave Doncaster looking forward to the season ahead and the 26-27 season. But he will also have, if we can get a friendly against the Championship team or a Premiership team at home, that will give people the reason, like, why are you going to buy tickets? Why do you want to come and watch Posh? Well, we beat, let's say, Brentford at home, who are a Premiership team, and that's somebody that we got through the door. So, yeah. I'm confident. I just don't want to get to a point this season where it's going to happen, and I think it's going to happen quite early, that our games don't mean anything because we're not going to get relegated and we're not going to get into the playoffs. But I would then hope, and I'm sure that Luke Williams will, is that actually we can still have an impact on who gets promoted, who gets relegated. So although you're not playing anything for your team, you still have a bigger picture of, you can still impact where people finish in the season.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing I'd love more for us to go and, like, let's say that Doncaster are down there and we go and beat them on the final day and we go and relegate them or something like that, and things like that. Like, that would be quite cool, isn't it? Every game, you want every game to have a meaning, even if it doesn't.
And also, and so two things on Williams. One is, I've heard that from other people who work with him, interact with him. He just is that people person who makes the effort, makes you feel special, takes time just to have a laugh and a joke with you. And the other thing on that, I'm with you. We're not going to get promoted. We're not going to get players, I don't think. We're not going to get relegated. So quickly, we're going to have not a lot to play for. But Williams will be saying, let's finish 7th rather than finish 11th. Yeah. That's what. Let's go into the next season. Done a lot of good work this season, considering where we've come from, where we've got to. Got the basis of a really good squad. Obviously, we need people to come in the summer. But say, let's finish this as high as we can, considering the start we had. Let's set ourselves up for next season with a good, strong squad. But again, like you say, with the full pre-season with Williams, he's had hardly any time on the training ground. Ideally, wouldn't it be great if he had a winter break? Just have a couple of weeks with him with no games, just that bit of time. And again, to put his mark on the squad with a name, because I'm sure him and Dara are now planning for the summer, especially after keeping the powder dry in January.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think that where Posh finished this season sets the expectation for next season, doesn't it? Like, we finished 18th last season, and I'm sure you mentioned the predictions earlier. I predict us to finish 16th purely off the back of, well, this is where we finished last season. This was our retained list, and we were keeping a lot of the crap that are now no longer here from last season. Yeah. And how can you be excited for that? But if you finish 11th, well, maybe you think that you'll flirt with the playoffs. But if you finish 7th, well, the next step up is the playoffs. So why would you not be excited for finishing even 7th or 8th? I would say that you have a real good go at it next season.
And some of those players that came in very late never got a pre-season with us as well. They came in, 2 days that have changed our season. And look, Fergie was amazing, brilliant track record, history of this club, fantastic. But the 2 days have changed the season. One is deadline day at the end of August, when we actually brought some good players in, and then when Williams was appointed.
Yeah, no, I do.
And I felt like when I was listening to Barry, it felt really like reminiscent of where we were in that start of the season. Almost like you've got players there, but it's just not working.
Yeah, sometimes it just does need to freshen up, doesn't it? And that's sort of the way that it goes. I think I'm done, Mark. Are you done?
Yeah, no, I just didn't know if you've got any comments you wanted to pick up.
I think I've covered them without really pulling them up. There was lots of ranky panky going on tonight. This may be worth pulling up this one. Yeah, hopefully we don't see a Sam Tickle backflip. I don't think it was a backflip, was it? I think it was a roly-poly that he did, because I remember Clive tweeting no roly-polies today when we beat them last season 1-0. Helen says that he thought that Lowe is an overrated manager and was made to look better at Plymouth with Schumacher as his assistant.
Lod says 10-0 tomorrow. Adebisi, first goal scorer.
Yeah, I think that this was because Toxify 895 was asking for a prediction. Did I clap myself before I came live? Look, when I'm muted, I'm just constantly giving myself a round of applause because I yeah, I just appreciate the work that I do for myself. No much more than that. Mark, you commented?
No, I don't know whether that's my wife or my son logged into my account. He's talking. I thought they were talking about one of our articles, but I promised myself I wouldn't mention our articles while I'm on with you.
No, you won't, because I'll mute you and I'll go back to just me on the screen. We should, of course, mention the article that Charlie did because Luke mentioned it. We've got a quality academy, and that was one of the things I'm sure that I mentioned a while back, is that there are moments when you feel like you're back, and it's not just winning on the football pitch, the first team on a Saturday. Seeing Luka Mendonca, seeing Patrick Sykert, seeing Bolu, seeing oh god, mind blank. There's another one. I can't remember. Pemi, yeah, but there's a young lad, Chris Dudias, I think his name is. He's like 15 years old, playing in the under-18s. He's absolutely quality as well, from what I've heard.
Joe Andrews?
Joe Andrews is there and captaining the under-21s. You've then got Mark Arbor's son as well, who plays in that team. So the future's bright and the future's posh.
It's a quick one. I know I'm hanging us out now. On this point, Luke mentioned about giving some of those youngsters time if we are in that stage at the end of the season where we're either going up or down. What's your thoughts on that?
I have no issue with it, but I wouldn't play any more than two of them at a time, because there's no point just playing the under-21s and giving the first team a rest. I think that it needs to be a Luka Mendonca plays 60 minutes and then he's replaced by George Nevett, and Patrick Sykert maybe gets 30 minutes and then starts the next game. And I just don't think that putting loads of pressure on the team is the right way to go about it.
Yeah. Noah Freeman, someone mentioned.
Yeah, so Noah Freeman was on loan at Spalding, but I think that he's back now. Noah Freeman was really good in pre-season, and he was very good at
Sports, didn't he?
Yeah, he did play at Sports, yeah, and he played at left back, and I'm pretty sure that he's a right back. So look, he did a proper shift at left back, didn't he? I'm just going to try. It's going to really bug me. I put it into the articles chat yesterday. Oh, Eddie Fox. How can I forget Eddie Fox? Yeah. In midfield, yeah, he's clearly a good player. And maybe that's another thing that was worth mentioning from the fan forum, is that Luke Williams said that he felt like we had our Hector Cipriano replacement at the club already. I think that's Joe Andrews. I think that Joe Andrews looked really good at Rotherham the last game of the season last season. Yeah. And I think that with the right programme, the right strength and conditioning, all of those sorts of boring things, I think that Joe Andrews will be a great player for us.
Ash, I think I heard a shout from my house of time's up.
No, what better time to wrap it up then? Up the Poshcast.
Up the Poshcast.